Welcome to Thrive Coaching. Today we're working on our second segment of
Limiting beliefs
Yeah.
and having a growth mindset.
I kind of like where this is going, and I texted you this weekend or earlier this week, and I was like, dude, I kind of like that we're doing this segment. Not saying I'm an expert or a psychologist or a therapist or anything like that, but actually diving into this
Yeah.
and seeing the way that other people will use and what psychologists actually say about this type of mindset and how to work through these. It's been very educational for myself.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, we're not psychologists or professionals by any mean. But I will say, as far as the mental mindset behind life in general, playing baseball definitely helped me a lot. I mean, we had sports psychologists in the dugout with us
Yeah.
because it's such a mental game.
Yeah.
So I actually learned a lot from them because obviously what you learn there can easily transition to real life. They're not just teaching you mental exercises just for baseball. Like it teaches you how to use that in everyday life, how to be tough, how to keep your mind sharp, trainings to do. There's a lot of stuff like that I learned. The guy that actually was ours was one of the best in the country. He was the Tampa Bay Rays sports psychologist. His name's Brian Kane.
Huh.
He's legit. He made me swallow fire. He did.
How was that?
It was scary, but like it was like basically the exercise was like to trust your teammate, trust me, trust like your instincts, because as soon as you put your mouth on it, it goes out. But the whole time you're like, what? You're like, this is not. So yeah, it was actually legit. He has like this crossword puzzles he did. Really cool. So just being around that and the aspect of the game has helped kind of lead me into being able to relay it and use it in my everyday life now as a adult and in the working world as a father, husband. And before we get started, I wanted to use this famous quote by Henry Ford, and it's just talking about limiting beliefs. And he says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And if you read that, you're like, "That's just super simple and plain," but it's the truth.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to do it, you can do it. If you think you can't, you're not going to do it. And he just put
Absolutely.
it that simple. So, and I think your beliefs are that simple. You're either going to do it or you're not. Whether it's you believe that you're gonna be able to lift 225 pounds off the bench, like if you think you can't, you're automatically defeated. That's step one. So
No, and I think a lot of times with the beliefs, and I've caught myself doing this before, we accept our self-limiting beliefs and we think they're facts.
yeah,
And so if we think our beliefs are facts, then they must be true. Um, and that's where I constantly have to work at myself with that. And I think in order for you to be able to actually know your limiting beliefs, you have to listen to yourself talk.
yeah,
What do you say about yourself? Me and you talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm hard on me.
Yeah.
You're hard on yourself. No one's gonna be a bigger critic than I am.
yeah. No, I'm terrible about it. I've had to learn. I'm actually still learning. Someone at work recently told me that basically the next time you'd say it's your fault or this happened because of me, I'm going to tell you to stop doing that. Like, it's not your fault. It's people screw up. Like, stop beating yourself up. And it's really hard for me to think that way, like super hard. The first thing I'm going to do is blame myself. I always take ownership of that. And I think it is a good trait, as long as you don't let it defeat you. I think there's a difference. And for the longest time in my life, I let it defeat me. If I let someone down, it literally ruined my day. Or if I failed my team, it ruined my day. So I think part of that limiting belief is learning to work through those failures and not thinking that's who you are or what you are.
Yeah. No, and to give an example for me, and I heard this. I heard this. I actually read this earlier this week. Is a common example that someone can use is I'm an introvert. That is a
Yeah.
self-limiting mindset that you can end up setting on yourself. And let's say that you're finding your dream job, and the job that you need, it comes with the pay. comes with everything you wanted, comes with the car, whatever you need, whatever your dream job is, whatever it comes with, that's what it comes. But you're an introvert and you constantly tell yourself that you're an introvert. And that job just requires a little bit of public speaking.
Yeah.
And a little bit of communicating to other people.
Yeah.
To being in charge of a team for your sake. And then you get into that mindset, oh, but I'm an introvert. I can't do it. I'm an introvert. I just don't like talking to people. And so when you get into that mindset, and what I believe so wholeheartedly, when you constantly tell yourself, because words have power. Everyone knows the tongue is the most powerful thing on your body.
Yeah.
Whether you realize it or not, what you say about yourself truly comes to fruition. It's what you say. So if you're constantly telling yourself that you're an introvert, and then this opportunity comes up that you've been wanting to strive for, you've been wanting to get, and you say that to yourself, you're going to doubt yourself the entire time.
Yeah, you're going to fall on your face quickly. Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that. I mean, the whole reason we're sitting here at this table doing this podcast, because my biggest limiting belief, or my biggest hurdle, was speaking in front of people, hearing my own voice. And I made myself start the fantasy football podcast, I guess 4 years ago, around this time, right before football season, because I got tired of having that thought. And a lot of that came from just years of, I mean, it's not to blame anyone. Like, I'm a grown man. But I did get not picked on. But people constantly brought up how I spoke. I couldn't pronunciate my words. I had a slur, and I still do to this day. I have to really focus on it. Cambria doesn't think I stutter. I'm like, yes, I do. I just talk very slow, so I know. But if you get me like excited or in a hurry, like I stutter. And that was a huge learning curve for me, is to really just focus on my words. Take a deep breath, and the camera's looking at me, like, and now I watch myself. I'm, oh, this is normal. But if I would have let that limiting belief stop me, we wouldn't even have Thrive Media. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing in my free time, like
playing,
yeah, like, and yeah, that's probably the biggest limiting belief that I've overcome in a long time, because that one, it really did stick with me. Like, my voice, like, it was, everyone I ever met was like, they'd always either mention it or comment. And to this day, I really do believe a lot of it came from being a catcher. I spoke with a mask on all the time, so you never really fully like open your mouth. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that starting this podcast is literally a proven testament or testimony that overcoming your limiting beliefs is possible.
What's like an example that you would give? I gave mine as far as being an introvert. Do you have an example that you would give of yourself?
Like I said, an example for everyone else or me, because I kind of just shared mine.
Well, no, that kind of worked into what we were talking about with being an introvert. Because that's what you were saying about yourself. You didn't like talking in front of people.
Yeah. I still don't. I just make myself do it.
Yeah. So like an example for like other people to know what like a self.
Oh man. One that I see all the time just in the workplace is literally just thinking, limiting yourself to more, if that makes sense. People are so stuck that they are meant to be average, and they don't think they can have more. Whether it's not even money, not even financially.
So would you describe that as like fear of rejection, almost?
No, I think it's more fear of failure.
Okay.
They'd rather say, "I didn't try, so I didn't fail," than saying, "I tried, I failed." And I think a lot of it comes from people constantly in their life telling them, "You'll never do that, so don't even try." Like, there's people and there's parents that talk that way. My parents are people who told me to chase my dreams. So I had super critical parents, but they never told me I couldn't do something. They would just tell me what I need to do if I want that dream to happen. But I think America today, a lot of people just got stuck to this mindset to where you're either the 1% or you're average. And that's not true. I think a lot of people have a lot more in them than they think or that they know. And whether that's financially, or that's just being an impact on the community, like serving people, serving in your church, being a role model, anything that you think that you're like, oh, well, I'm not called to do that, or I don't have the potential to do that.
Yeah.
That's just a limiting belief of you being scared to even step out. So I would say that's a big one, is just, how do you know you're not good at something until you try? Like, how do you, like, you can't just go through life thinking, oh, well, I do this every single day, and that's what the Lord has for me. Is just, I'm gonna sit here and do this every single day. I think there's seasons where you need to do that, and the Lord opens doors, but He's not gonna open door for you if your hands are in your pocket. Like,
There's this saying my mom used to always tell me. She would say, I would say, Mom, I've been praying for patience. She's like, oh no, don't do that.
yeah, don't pray for patience.
I was like, why? And she was like, because he's not gonna make you patient. He's just gonna give you opportunities to be patient. And so I always find that funny to when we're like, we have to put ourselves in those situations, put yourself to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you could say I feared when going into mine.
Firehouse.
Yeah. I was comfortable with the last company I was with. And I told you that. I said, man, I really don't know. I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at, and taking the step where I'm at now, I've made more money for me and Kaylee than I have.
And yeah, I'd also say you probably have a way healthier lifestyle. Like, all around, work-life balance. You're not running around doing 10,000 different things. You actually know you're getting a paycheck. Like, lots of stuff. Like, it's more consistent, I would say.
I wouldn't even say that. It made me. I think it helped me grow. Because I would tell people, "Oh, I'm in sales with the last company," but I really wasn't doing it. This helped me grow into. I love what your brother-in-law said. I was watching a podcast that he did, because I hate even saying sales now. Even after hearing his conversation, I'm not in sales. I'm in the people business.
Yeah, we serve people.
And so, me recognizing that coming over, it kind of really helped. Yeah. Where I was able to change. Anytime you hear sales, you just think sleazy scumbags. Anytime you hear a salesman, so
yeah.
And I think it's true. When you get into this, you get into being in the people business.
Yeah.
Your job is to serve people and serve yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and so when I transitioned over, I think it took me to take a little bit of a leap of faith to go ahead and take that transition.
I remember. I was trying to push you.
Yeah, no, you were pushing me. I think you.
I even set up a phone call with my dad
for like 2 years.
Yeah.
You were like, dude, you gotta come. Just make the switch.
Just based off your stories, I was like, dude, you gotta come up by her house.
You were like, just make the switch. And I think it was at a point to where, I guess you could say it was a fear of failure.
Yeah.
Because it did go into a different pay structure than what I was in before.
Yeah.
And so going into that, it was like, man, I have bills to pay. I have this stuff to take care of. And eventually you pushed me. You kept on saying, hey, dude, the door's open. The door's open. And then I think it just got to the point to where I was so fed up. I was just like, all right, screw it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. And I think that's like I was talking about on the last show, I think that is one of the scariest limiting beliefs you can have, because of, I'm not saying Satan always like that. Satan could care less where you're selling roofs, but he also knows but the more you're thriving in life or moving forward and advancing in the kingdom and you're showing God's blessing, people see that. And I feel like he gets a lot of people, not even by like being in their ear or anything, but just keeping them complacent or stuck.
Yeah.
Because you can't, I'm trying to say this right. You can't serve people well or be an impact on people if you're stuck and complacent. You can't, no one's going to, if you're swimming in the same dirty water, nobody's going to come swimming it with you. Like, stagnant water doesn't grow anything.
Yeah.
So I think Satan uses that limiting belief to keep people from their potential or their purpose in life.
Yeah. And I saw this exercise and that I think you should try it too. If y'all want to try it, go ahead and give it a try. Anytime like you have those like I'm an introvert, what if it were true? That's all you have to. That's what I do to myself.
You think you're an introvert?
No,
I was about to say. I was like, that you're far from. If anyone's an introvert, it's me.
No, I'm not an introvert. That's just like an example, though. Or what if I fail?
Yeah.
There's a sense of fear of failure. Well, what if that's true when I was switching over to this company? And ask yourself, give yourself the reality that goes through your mind. I think a lot of times you just have to see yourself speak it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you listen to it and you're just like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah.
And that's something that's an exercise that I'm currently now starting to do. I read about it this week. You just ask yourself, anytime you have like a self-doubt about yourself or anything like that, you just ask yourself, what if it's true?
Where'd you read that at? Is it like a book or
no? So I read an article. It was from Melanie McConley. She's a psychologist, and she calls it the downward arrow technique, to where you just go down. What if that's true? And then you go, okay, sense of failure. What if that's true?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't think that I will be adequate enough. Well, what if that's true? I just don't bring value.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your self-limiting belief. So then you have to go to yourself. You have to go through this rabbit hole, what I've been going through this week preparing for this, and going through these rabbit holes and saying, okay, well, I am enough.
Yeah.
I think we had this conversation when we went to when we went to that seminar.
Yeah, we did.
I talked about it. That's still something that I still struggle with at times. Being typically the younger guy and a group of older men.
Mm-hmm. I feel you on that.
What value can I bring?
Yeah.
And so that's what I would want. You could try it. Y'all can try it. Just ask yourself, what if it's true?
Yeah. No, I like that. I definitely will start kind of throwing that in my back pocket. An exercise I use a lot, and it's definitely because of baseball and sports. And I think all of us have done this, even if you don't realize it. But visualization, Brian Kane was huge on that. He'd make us visualize it. You think it's the silliest thing ever, too. Like, you're like, dude, like when you're first doing it, you're like, this is the stupidest thing. But then you start doing it and you start studying it more, like everyone does it. And literally I would sit there in the on deck circle and visualize me hitting the ball.
So there's a funny story about that. Me growing up, she was like my second mama growing up, Dina Elder. She would take us to my mom and dad work. She would always take me to games. I don't know why. I think I would stay the night at his house, and she would always be the one driving me to games. And she'd turn on Rascal Flatts, Life is a Highway.
Yeah.
And she would turn it on. She'd turn the music down and say, hey, during this music, I just want you to think about making that tackle.
Yeah.
Scoring the touchdown, making the basket. Visualize yourself doing it. And I never understood it. I always thought it was weird, but I did it every time she asked. I did it. And whatever, and you kind of know, it's a mentality thing.
No, it works. It really does. And I do it like now when I have to like speak in front of people. I like visualize myself on stage speaking, and I don't know what it is. Obviously I know it's if you're already putting yourself in those shoes, your mind, you're already preparing for the moment. I know what it does, but the fact that it works is just really weird.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like I meditate and cross my legs. I just close my eyes. Like even in racing, I'll sit in the staging and close my eyes and try to visualize the race.
Yeah.
So it works. It really does. And that's definitely an exercise that I learned in college. And to this day, I've used it to my benefit. But it's not easy. You have to when you first do it, you're like, this is silly.
I think that's funny because, I was doing that as a kid and it kind of forgot about it. I just stopped doing it.
You have to practice it. Like it is a practice because you have to take a deep breath because you can easily get yourself out of the moment. You get distracted, hear something. Like you have to really take a deep breath and really focus in on the moment and truly feel like you're there.
Yeah. That brings back such old memories. Honestly. Man, that's all I have for today's show. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Not really anything to add. I really just wanted to kind of do a call to action. Like if you're out there and you feel like this show has helped you, or just segment, because this segment's going to be long. Like, we're going to stay on this because I think it's very important right now in our society with how crazy the world's getting and people living in fear or scared to step out of their comfort zones, especially with social media, comparing yourself to others every single day. Like, so we are going to dig into this. So if you're out there and you have a limiting belief that you want us to talk about, even if we're not experts at it, we will do our research. Like, we will do everything we can to help get you where you need to be on that belief.
Yeah, and I think one of my job when we talk about these things, we give our personal experiences from it. It's not something that obviously we do some research when we go and talk about these things. We just want to let you know our personal beliefs. I mean, we all deal with it. I think every guy, every man in the world go through this same thing. We're just wanting to actually express it. I'm sure y'all go through the same things that I go through.
Yeah.
But this helps me.
No, it is. It's the whole why behind this podcast. And I think Zayne's finally starting to see where it's all going, because it's not just fathers and husbands now. Like, it's more of just men in general.
Yeah.
And the whole why is we want to let people know that it's okay to not to have all the answers. It really is. And then when we talk about it on the show, we help each other out, and I'm hoping we help y'all out as well. But if you have a limited belief and you want us to talk about it, comment below on the video or send us a message on either one of our Facebooks, Instagrams, and we will for sure bring it up, talk about it. Next week's segment is actually going to kind of piggyback off of this. Let me get the name so I don't botch it, but it is going to be building a growth mindset. So we're going to basically bounce off of what a limited mindset is and limiting belief, and find out how to build that growth mindset and how to move forward and get out of that rut.
Absolutely.
So, well, like always, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't yet, go check out our merchandise at www.thrivemedia.shop and buy some shirts from any of your favorite podcasts. Last but not least, I have to get more views than my wife's podcast, so please watch this.
Peace.
Bye.